What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zahid. As you can tell by the title of the video, we're finally gonna install my spoon calipers on my Honda S2000. Now before we get to the install, I do wanna go over the extended studs I already did to the car in preparation for these. Now you don't necessarily need the extended studs to install these, but I'm gonna explain to you guys why I decided to go with it. Let's get to it. As you can see, my car is on jack stands. We're back at Jason's house, AKA DIY guys. And we're gonna do step one in getting my car set up for these spoon calipers. That's gonna be to install extended studs. That does take a few other different pieces, and thankfully I have Jason helping me out today. I'm actually not doing any of this work myself. You might be wondering why I need extended studs to run a spoon caliper kit. Well, you actually don't. You don't really need them. You just need wheels that can clear them. But my ultimate goal is to be able to run the spoon calipers under my Mugen wheels. My Mugen wheels are in the S2000 spec, and they require a pretty big spacer to clear the spoon calipers. So in order to set myself up in the future for that, we're gonna do the extended studs.
I decided to go with the tried and true ARP extended studs. Full disclaimer, this is an overly simplified version of this install, and I highly recommend checking out Jason's channel if you want to do this yourself. This install will also require you to have new wheel hubs and bearings since the old ones won't be reusable. First off, you'll need to remove the knuckle from the car, which I clearly did not film. Removing the knuckle entails disconnecting the brake caliper, the ABS sensor, tie rods, and removing the axle nut and ABS pulser. You'll also need a ball joint tool for the control arms. Definitely more complicated than the installs on my channel, but that's why we're here at Jason's, aka DIY guys, and I'm not doing this myself. With the wheel knuckle braced on the hydraulic press, you can carefully press out the original wheel hub. For this particular knuckle, I had an ABS sensor that seized into place. In case you run into this same issue, you can use a socket to tap the ABS sensor out. Just be careful to use the right size socket and avoid hitting the sensor directly to avoid damaging it. With the sensor out, the next step is to use pliers to remove the snap ring so we can press the rest of the bearing out. With the knuckle now clear, it's time to prep the new hubs with the ARP studs. Start by pressing out the studs the new hub came with, followed by pressing in the ARP studs. With the new hubs prepped, we'll move back to the knuckle and press in the new bearing, followed by reinstalling the snap ring. From here, we can press in the new wheel hub into place and get the knuckle back on the car. Reinstall the brake calipers, ABS sensor, and ball joints. Make sure to bend the dust shield back as it can get pretty mangled during the pressing. Like I said earlier, this is basically the crappy TLDR version of the install, so check out Jason's channel for the real thing linked in the description below. Now that we have the studs in, it was time for the spoon calipers. Installing the spoon calipers are pretty straightforward, and unlike the extended studs, I actually feel confident in my own ability to get this done. Listen, if I can do it, trust me, anyone listening can definitely do it too. Let's start by using some penetrating oil to loosen things up. Next, I like to barely crack the brake line banjo bolt while the caliper is still on the knuckle. This will make things a lot easier later. We can now disassemble the caliper and the nearest brake line mount from the caliper bracket and hang up the caliper with the zip tie on the control arm. We'll hang the caliper here until we're ready to swap the brake line over to the spoon caliper. Doing it this way allows you to avoid unnecessary brake fluid loss. From here, we'll remove the rest of the caliper bracket and prep the dust shield to clear our new, larger calipers. The center section can easily be tapped out of the way with the hammer, and the directions provided by Spoon will tell you exactly how much to cut. As a general rule, you're going to cut off these two triangle-shaped points on the top and bottom of the shield. With the dust shield out of the way, we can install the caliper bracket and the spoon caliper. Torque specs and tools needed are all listed in the description below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video and subscribe to the channel. We have way more S2000 content coming soon. For brake pads, I'm going with Project Moo Club Racers for the track. In order for these to slide into place, you'll need to shave off a tiny bit of the metal backing plate, maybe 1mm at most. You can always try to test fit your brake pads to see if you can skip this step. All I know is that I needed to do this to fit the Project Mu pads, and it seems like many other S2K owners do the same thing for spoon calipers. Swapping out brake pads might be the best part about having spoon calipers. With the spoon design, it takes 2 minutes to swap out the front pads. With the new pads in place, we can swap over the brake line fitting to the new caliper. You'll lose a little bit of brake fluid here, so be prepared for that. Once the line is swapped over, double check all your work and begin bleeding your front brakes. Keep in mind that the spoon calipers have 2 bleeder valves, and just to be safe, I bled from both of them for each caliper. Even with 2 people, bleeding these took way longer than I expected, so just be patient and wait until the air pockets are completely gone. Now, I bet you're wondering how these brakes feel compared to my stock setup. Well, for that, you're gonna have to wait until the next video.